Okay, I'm going to go over with you how to pop up an image with text as well. And you can see here on my screen when I've got it in contrast mode that this would be a card, and the top half of the image would pop out, but the bottom half would be flat with the bottom of the card. I do have this in the preview, so if I got rid of the printed part and then just click the cut preview at the top, you'd see that it just cuts the top part, and that's what's going to pop up from the top of the card. And you can put this in the inside of another card or just use it by itself. But I'm not going to go through all of the basics of resizing images and text and all that stuff. I'm just going to do the basics and go over with you and show you how to actually get this to work. So the first thing that we want to do, let me come over here and bring this back to just regular outline shapes. Um, the first thing you want to do is pick your image that you want and your text. I just went to like Google, and I think it was, I scrolled down, it was like on page, I think it was page 7. Let me get down here to page 7 so you can see. Oh, I think I almost passed it. Where's my little bear? Okay, there's my little bear right here. And then I just did a snip screen in Vista and took that image to use for my little bear. So that's how you can get your little images to use. Um, so first you choose your image and you place it. I like to place each thing on its own layer. It just makes it easier so that you can close them out when you don't want to see certain things. You want to choose your card base. If I open that up, you can see that this is a pretty big card. It's a whole 8.5 by 11 size sheet of cardstock, because you don't want anything really small when you would pop up an image and the text, because it's just too small. I was wanting to have this printed out to actually show you, but I still haven't perfected my print and cut with my Cougar yet, so I don't have that to show you, but I still wanted to, at least be able to show you how to do it. Um, so anyway, you want to have your image, your text, and everything on its own layer. It just makes it easier. Um, I used a font called Show Card Gothic for my letters. I'm using all capital. You don't have to. This to me just worked easier, because you know how some letters have little parts that sort of fall out and then you can't tell what the letter is. So this actually worked good for me and for what I was saying on it. You just sort of have to play around with that and see what you want to use. Um, the, when you get your image and your text as well, when you bring in your text, you want to bring it in individually. That needs to be split up, and that's because I'm going to take that text to a curved shape so that it's sort of rounded. Um, like you come back and you see here in my preview, it's sort of rounded. I wanted to real quick show you how to do that, and you could just make it straight. That would be fine too, but I just wanted to at least show you how to do that, make it a little bit extra special. Um, so just be aware of what fonts you choose. And all capitals usually will work better for the pop-up text type. And then you also want to choose some kind of something that you want your shape. If, like I said, if you want it straight, it would be a square. You're going to have that. So some kind of a shape, a square. This is a crescent out of the library of the shapes for Make the Cut. And also I'm using version 3.20. I think I need to really mention that. This is the latest version as of today is December 27th. So if you have an earlier version, some of these things that I'm talking about, you might not know what they are. But you will need that shape later on. So, and I'm just going to keep that just hidden for now. And like I said, if you look over here, you can see that I like to keep all mine on a separate layer. That just makes it seem to be a little bit easier. So the first thing that we're going to do once we have um, our image and our text out here, um, we're going to shape. We're going to bring that. We want to bring our letters to that path. That's the first thing that we want to do. Um, like the text of the path of the letters to get there. So I've got my little crescent showing down here, and then here's my letters, and I'm just going to sort of drag and just um, grab just my letters. And if you look at this, you'll see this might happen with you too sometimes. So that's why I want to tell you what to do. How my wheel is sort of right down here at the bottom of the line, and then my U is up a little bit. Um, and I want them. I don't want to go ahead and drag that to the path now, because if I do, the U will be up a little bit, and I want it to be even with the wheel. So while it's shape magic, I'm going to right click and say align in space, and then I'm going to align it horizontal center, and then you see that that brings it down all even. That's just makes it a little bit easier when you drag it to that path. Now what you want to do when you, like I said, each one of these letters is individual. They're not joined together. That's real important when you take that and join it to this curve. But before I even left click and go over here and left click on this, I'm going to be holding down my control key on my keyboard, CTRL, that key. And then I want to left click and hold, and you bring it down until you see, if you see my cursor, you'll see that square, circle, and triangle. And then once you see that, your cursor turn into that, you can let go, and that's going to bring the words down here on this path. And as you can see, because this is a crescent, they're way down here at the bottom. So we're not going to work with this space, because what the space does is it puts space between the letters. We don't want to put space between the letters. The vertical alignment would bring the letters up and down from the curved path, and we don't want to do that either. So the only thing I really want to work with is this offset. I don't want to repeat, because I just want the two words. So I'm just going to bring this over just a little bit until those words come around where I want them to be. And you can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to just slightly move them back and forth. And as you can see, I've got my wheel and my U sort of curved like where I want them to be. So I'm just going to say accept. And you'll see that they're still chosen. That's fine. Now that the reason I went ahead and had my U over here on this side of the bear and my wheel on this side of the bear is because I wanted it to have room later to bring my bear down into here. So that's why I had the words sort of spread out like that, and that's what you would want to do. So now we don't really need that again yet, but we will need it later. So I'm just going to hide that shape till later, because we don't need it right now. We just wanted to get this curved, the text curved. So that's fine like it is now. So now what we want to do, and I'm actually having to look at my notes too, because I don't want to forget anything, because there's just a certain way you do this. So let's see here. So now we want to place our image down here where we want it between the text. And I just am going to choose not to have it touching, his little feet touching or whatever, but you just sort of want to get that down there. And anything below, like the bottom of the letters, and like his stomach down is not going to pop up, just the above is going to pop up. So but you place your image in between the text how you want it, and then at this point you would color your text whatever color you want your text to be. So I'll just make it purple right now, but that's because you're going to do, this would be a print and cut card, and you don't have to do it like that. It can just be an image, but I just wanted to show you that way. So at this point, that's when you would go ahead and color your your text like you want it to look. So once everything is where it needs to, once you've got it like you want it here, let's see, you would want to bring your image over, and in this particular instance I have colored my letters blue, but once you've got your little image down where you want it and you've got your words, at this point you can actually join your words together so that they're just one layer, and then your image is a layer. But then you would want to, select all to move it to where you need it to be for your card. So at that point, what you need to do, and I'll come over here to the print layer, is you need to open up your card so that you can see where your card's going to be placed. And of course, with me having a cougar, I can have mine placed right up to the line. If you have a Cricut, you can't go past these little gray, these little areas where it won't cut. So you would have to do your card a little bit smaller. And if I go up here and push File, Print Options, and then I'm going to say Show Paper on Matte, and then say OK, you can see, I'll get rid of my background, but you can see here where it shows me where it's going to print at. And so at this point, that's when you have to get your image, your letters colored because it's going to print, and then you have your little image. And like I said, I didn't go over that with you. There's lots of videos showing you how to make, get your image from the internet and then use that image as your texture. So I'm not going to go over that with you, but once you have got everything sort of like you want it and the size you want it, this is where you need to place it where it needs to be. So like when I've got this card checked, you can see right here that this little arrow right here is the middle of the card. So, and you can see that I have placed it right above that line so that when the card, it would fold in half, this top part's going to pop up. So you need to have it in that place before you print. Okay, so, and when you print, you're not going to print obviously the card, because you're going to put this cardstock on when you do the cut part. First you need to print it. So I'm going to hide that card layer, and then I'm going to go back in here to contrast and no outline shapes, just so you can see. And of course, if I come up here and did the cut preview, you can see how it would cut out now if we were to cut it. But I'm not talking about cutting it now, I'm just talking about printing it. So this is when you would put it in your printer and you would print it. So if I would go up here and say File, Print Preview, you can see up on the screen that it comes up and shows me exactly what it's going to print on my printer, so, or on the cardstock. So you would want to print this on your cardstock, and then that's when you take it back to your cutter and you would cut it. It's only going to cut out the tops of the letters and the top of the shape all the way across. So let me close this out and get rid of that, because otherwise we'll keep seeing that. So let me get rid of that Show the Paper on the Mat. Okay, and so now we're going to go, and we'll go to let's go back to this one, and let me get out of the contrast so we can see a little bit better outline shapes. So at this point, like I said, I've gotten everything's colored, everything's printed, and it's right here where it needs to be. Now, real important part to remember at this point is that you can't move anything after this. So once you have the image and the text on your mat where it needs to be on your card or whatever, and you've printed it, you can't move it around anymore, because if you do, then it's not going to cut out where it's supposed to cut out around your printed object or your printed stuff. Okay, so at this point on, you can't move anything. You can do stuff to it, but you can't move anything. Okay, so just remember that. So now the next thing we're going to do is make it so that it pops out. And how we do this is we want to join the image and the text together, because right now the image and the text are two separate things. And like I said, we've already printed it, so we've got this image. So you can drag around to select all, you can right click and say select all, or you can come down here to the left where the little arrow is and say select all. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that, but you just do which one you like the best, whatever's comfortable for you. Once you get that selected, then you want to join it. And you can say right click and join, but I'm just going to come down here to this icon where it looks like two little pieces of paper, two arrows, and if I hold my mouse over it, it says join, and I'm just going to join that. Now you see that the image goes away. Well, it's going to go away, and that's fine because we've already printed it out. And if you want to save that on another project, you see I've saved this on another project, you can. If you were just thinking that you might lose it or mess up, go ahead and save that to another project or to another page within this same project, so you don't lose it if you're just trying this out and you don't want to go back to get to where that is. You can just select all and copy it and then paste in place and save it. So at this point I've got this joined together as one, and so now I need to shadow layer this whole thing. So I'm going to say right click, shape magic, shadow layer, and it's going to give me a shadow. It says 0.0450, but that's not quite enough. We need to have it to be just a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to sort of drag this out. I can drag it out real big, and of course I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to drag it out. I'm sort of looking at my letters. I want to drag it out just a tiny bit bigger because it's going to make it easier when it pops out. And then once I'm satisfied with that, what that looks like, I can say accept. I'm using the corner join that's rounded. I don't have to apply a blackout. I don't have to have inset shadow checked. I do have auto simplify output checked. And then once I've got that like I want it, I just say accept. So now we've got this front layer, and then we've got this back layer. So if I were to click cut preview, you can see how that would cut out. But what I need to do now is I need to join that together, because of course if I had this on my mat and went to cut it, it's going to cut that inside and it's going to cut that outside, and it's going to look like that. But we do still need to join this, so I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to join it, and that's the two, like I said, down here where the arrows are going toward the middle, and join that. And then what that looks like is an outline. So it still looks the same if I would click up here to the top and do print preview. You can see how that sort of cuts that out. And that's what we want it to look like. And like I said, we haven't moved this. This is still, our image is still where it needs to be. See, so that image is still exactly where it needs to be. We haven't moved anything, but we still have another step to go. So once I've got that, the outline of the image and text joined, at this point, that's when you want to come in and you want to show your base card. So I'm just going to come over here to where my layers properties are, and I'm going to open the eye on that base card. I'll get rid of my notes here so you can see, so that that is placed on my card exactly where it needs to be. And see, this is where my cardstock's printed, but everything's right there where it needs to be to pop this up. So once I have that outline of the image and the text, show the base card, we're going to shape magic all of this again. So I'm going to just come down here and click this arrow, which means select all, and then I'm going to say join again. And so then now what that's done is, if we were to cut this now, it would pop out, it would cut out this middle, and it would cut out these words. They would just sort of fall out of the card, and that's what we would have, but we still just need the top part to pop out. So how we're going to do that is we're going to, let me bring my notes section back in here again. Now we need to bring in either our square or our shape, our curved shape, because we need to just sort of like hide that bottom so that it doesn't cut out. So at this point, that's where you need to bring in your little curved shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this front part open up the eye, because this is the curve shape that I used, and I'm just going to copy that and come back to here to where I'm working to show you this, and right click and paste in place so that I have this shape here ready to show you how we're going to do this. So this curve shape that we saved before, I need to place it like right at the bottom of my words, and I'm also making sure that it doesn't go off the outside right here, and it's just the little bit of the wheel has sort of half of his body, and the little bit right here at the bottom of the U. And if you don't like how that is, you can sort of take that shape and tilt that shape just a little bit. Tilting the shape just a little bit is fine because we didn't print the shape out. We can't move anything else, but we can move that shape or tilt that shape a little bit if we need to. So I'm just going to get that shape sort of like just right there where it needs to be. Sometimes I like to do that print preview just to see if it looks like it's up far enough, and it looks like it is up far enough, so that's fine. Now what I need to do, since I'm using this curve shape, if you were using just like a square and you didn't bend your words, you might not have to do this. You could just drag your square a little bit bigger, but I can't drag my this any bigger. You see what it does is it also changes the top of the shape. If it was a square, it wouldn't do that, and you could do that, but I can't. But I also do need to hide this little section right here before I do this next step. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just right click somewhere over here to the right and just bring in a circle from the basic shapes. And since I've done this before, I'm just going to take that circle and widen it out a little bit. And I'm just going to sort of put it right there over, because I'm just needing to cover up that bottom piece. Like I said, you might not have to do this, but I'm just going to cover up that because we don't need that to show. Now all you need to do is select this curved shape and this circle, and we need to join those. We don't want to join it with the back of this, okay, here. So if you're sort of scared that you might join that, you can also always click that part and say selection to new layer and then hide that so that you don't see it if you're scared that you're going to choose the wrong thing. And then you can just select all like that. But if it's up, you can just say, left click that circle and then hold down your shift key, and you can see when I get over top of this it turns red, and I can click that too and then I can say weld, and that puts those two shapes together. So I'm going to open up the eye on my card here, because you can see still that it would just cut and fall out, but I do have my shape right there on top. And then what we're going to do is the magic, and this is when we're going to pop it up. So you want to select all, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to use this Boolean join. And down here at the icons, the Boolean join is right beside of this little circle with the dots, which is the Bezier warp, and it's in between the Bezier warp and the weld. So that's this little Boolean join thing right here. Now remember when you're doing a Boolean join, it can only be 2 items. So this is considered an item or an image, and then this is considered one. If you had 3 on here, it's not going to work. So and I'll show you that. Let me just bring in just another circle. So let's say if I bring in this circle and then I say select all, and I want to do the Boolean join. Well, if you come down here to the icons, the Boolean join, I can't even click on it. It won't let me. Or if I would say to right click, shape magic, you can see that Boolean join is grayed out. And that's because there's an object here, this little circle. So I'm just going to delete on my keyboard and get rid of that. And sometimes if you've brought something in and it's sort of hiding over here off your screen, that might be why you're not able to do your Boolean join. So in that instance, you might want to like zoom your screen way down so that you can see if you've got some little dot hanging out over here. So that's just a little tip just so you know why your Boolean join might not work. But since I've just got the two, I'm just going to select all, and then I'm going to click Boolean join. Now you're going to get a couple of different options on what Boolean join you want to do. And this box will come up and you can still see here to the left what it would do. And then you'd say apply, but I don't want to apply yet because that's of course not what I want to do. But what you want to choose is the union. So I know that just from doing this before. But you could click each one of these if you wanted to see, exactly what it would do and what it would cut. See, oh well, that's not it. Exclude oh no, that's not it. So, but when you click union, you can just automatically tell that that's what we want to do. So I'm going to say apply, and then what that's done is it's actually brought up, change that to the card color. It's actually now when it cuts, if I was come up here and do the cut preview, you can see that it's just going to cut the top out. It's just going to go around the top of the letters, around down on the side of that W, up the I. It's going to shadow cut all around the top of the image and then the other word. And so that's what's going to pop out when you fold the card. And then all this is still going to be attached. So if we were to click on that, if I click on this just to show you that this is the image that you printed, and you can see that this all down here is still attached. Now if I was to do preview now, of course it's going to look out like it cuts out the bottom, but that's only because I've got the little preview, like the preview part showing. So if I get rid of that, you can see exactly how it cuts out and cuts around. I had just cut and pasted the little print part in here just so you could see what that looks like. And that's basically all it is. I'll save this particular main file as a file and let you download that and keep that, and then it'll have the instructions step by step written down here at the bottom. And then so going by that and then going along with this video, you should easily be able to do an image with text on either sides and pop that out. And I'm hoping that I didn't leave anything out. I was trying to sort of rush through this, but I hope that helps you to make something like this and have some fun with Make the Cut. It's a great project to do, fun, and I really wanted to have mine ready to show you completed, and hopefully I'll get that done in the next couple of days and get my print and cut fixed on my Cougar and can do that and show you. So have fun. Thanks.